All right, we're live.
Good morning, everyone, and I am back, Senor Garria, with El Cuco, aka CJ, the Master of the Flux Capacitor, and I am the Optimus Primate. And we're here on Rogue Money Mornings. You can find us on roguemoney.net, the fastest growing preeminent financial news website out there on planet Earth, connecting all sectors of the geostrategic, geoeconomic, and geopolitical all in one. We are the nexus around which the world spins. You can follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money, and check us out on Facebook, Rogue Money D2, Rogue Money Steam It, Rogue Money Tumblr, Rogue Money on every single podcasting app, Note to Humanity, and Rogue Money Apple News. With that being said, also check out our sponsors, RemainCom.net, RemainCom.net. Whether you need the gold USB to surf the web anonymously, go. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind, CJ. RemainCom.net is the place that you can get that. Whether you want to get the funds for $600,000 unsecured, they're the place. They're the place to go to get the money, the mucho dineros. And also, if you need a smart banking option, protect your bank accounts, or you need your credit fixed and cleaned, the boys over at RemainCom, whom I work with closely, will get the job done for you. RemainCom.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm. With that being said, CJ, what's crack-a-lackin'?
Hey, V, good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Doing great this morning, fired up and ready to go. How are you?
I'm doing great, my man. I'm doing great. I'm hanging in there. Just been a busy day yesterday. Busy. It's gonna be a busy week this week, Siege. But I'm pumped, brother. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. There's a lot going on, a lot of great stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
Excited about today's hump day. I shared in the chat room a little bit ago that Bix wants to do a live Q&A today, change things
Hey.
up a little bit. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so if you have any questions that you want answered and you can't be here at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the live stream, send an email or with your question to contact@roguemoney.net, and there's nothing else, just contact@roguemoney.net. We'll take a look, filter out some some good questions. I'm sure there'll be some repeat ones, and we'll be prepared for a great show at 1 p.m.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So let's get into it, brother man. A light of opportunity or just another distractions. The arrests will decide. Senate Judiciary opens probe into Obama era Russian nuclear bribery case. We all remember the case that was done when Hillary Rodham Clinton approved the deal of 20% of our uranium to Rosatom after a couple of Russians made a sizable donation to the Clinton Foundation to help those who are diseased, which is basically her husband, help women's rights, which is basically Hillary and Huma buy outfits, and help the children, which is basically Pizzagate. That's basically what all the money from the Clinton Foundation is being spent on. But CJ, break this down for us, man. What is going on here?
Yeah, we all remember the history of this, correct? So we all know the level of corruption that was exposed by this through the Clinton Foundation. Now, Senator Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, is the committee chairman that they are going to actually question Attorney Jeff Sessions to begin taking a look to see whether or not the FBI of a criminal investigation regarding bribes, kickbacks, and everything else prior to the approval. So we all know at the time that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, Obama was the president, and the Attorney General was no other than Eric Holder. Now, again, the importance of this is the fact that Bill Clinton, through his speaking arrangements, received millions of dollars in speaking fees. We know about the funds that were deposited into at the time, the Clinton Foundation. So this is interesting that this is coming out now. And again, we continue to get a lot of these things that would, help shed some light on the truth of what happened, V. But at the same time, I'm hesitant just for the fact that that no, like what we've stated numerous times, that no one ever gets arrested. It just always gets swept under the rug. So, God, I don't want to sound pessimistic about it, but at the same time, I want a conviction. I want arrest. I'm tired of these hearings. I'm tired of these investigations. I want people thrown in jail. I want people taken away in handcuffs.
Yep, absolutely correct, man. Absolutely correct. Me too. I've been saying this from the beginning. A big shoe needs to fall, and it needs to fall very quickly, man. Very quickly. And speaking of other things that are happening, my man, the enemy of the middle class. It is a serious situation here with the middle class as they are being eroded, and per capita federal spending is up sevenfold, CJ, since 1941. People are wondering who the enemy of the middle class is. Well, just head on to Washington, D.C. That is the enemy of the middle class, is Washington, D.C. itself, CJ. Break this down for us, brother.
Yeah, I mean, time after time just shows the amount of waste, the amount of corruption, that occurs at the federal level. And this article just kind of breaks down and takes a look at the actual per capita spending based upon what was, now granted it was back in 1941, and it was estimated there was about $1,718 spent, per capita back in that time period. Now fast forward to 2017, and that number is now at $12,239 per capita of waste and money spent per population per capita. So when you think about that, and you drill down those numbers, you think, okay, well, what about security? What about the military and all those things that are involved with it? However, when you actually take a look at the numbers that were spent beyond the military back at that particular time period, it was estimated that I believe it was close to 86% at that time. It was a pretty high number that was spent. And now you take a look at it, it's even less, with the majority of the money being spent per capita spent on social programs, national programs. Once again, V, to truly keep humanity, keep us dependent upon the state. And that's what the federal government does.
Absolutely correct, man. It's the government is a leech. Okay, government doesn't create anything. And when you look at some of the most wealthiest suburbs, the wealthiest zip codes in the United States, it all happens to be centered around Washington, D.C., and there's a reason for that. Washington, D.C., in and of itself, is a parasitic drain on this country. It is a parasitic drain. And it is important that we understand that where the problem truly lies. We cannot have a bloated, a megalithic government and then a free and prosperous citizenry. You have to understand that the government as it exists today and you have two competing interests. Your object is to make more money and to be more free. The government's object is to collect more taxes through taxation and regulation and to restrict freedoms and increase its control. So these are two diametrically totally opposed points of view. And it's important and very indicative for the citizen, to understand what he's facing and then make the proper adjustments through education, through understanding how the system works. And you can learn that right here at Rogue Money. Okay. And then make those adjustments so you can live your life freer than the average person. And that is key. The more you're able to understand how the system works, the more freedom and flexibility that you have in procuring wealth. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want. All of us want to make more money. Now, if you're not interested in making more money and being more prosperous for yourself, then clearly this is not the program for you. If you're looking for fear porn, there's other purveyors of there are purveyors of fear porn out there that do a wonderful job. This is solutions based. This is about empowerment. Every crisis is an opportunity. Always keep that in mind. And now the next thing, CJ, this is an "I told you so" moment right here, brother. And I told you so.
Yeah. Hey, before you jump to that real quick, V, because I don't think I did service as far as how eye-opening the figures are with the data. Let me just go over this just real quickly. So in fiscal back in 1945, 89.5% went to national. only 2% went to, human services, the social programs. If you fast forward that to today, you take a look at it, it's completely flipped. So national defense is at 15.4%, 73.2% is spent on human services, an alarming 15.3% of GDP is spent on human services. So again, it's just very eye-opening as far as the federal government and the growth and expansion of what it is amassed to. And until we stop bickering and fighting with each other about Democrats and Republicans and all that, to realize the true enemy at the gates is Washington, D.C., the sooner that we can move on better as a society.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's
correct. You were correct. The next one that we're going to cover, you did call this, and a listener on yesterday's show typed in the comments that V called it. V called this one out. So I'll let you break this down, bro.
No, absolutely correct, man. I mean, this is the funniest thing. The funniest thing is that the whole entire thing with the Kurds it's pretty hilarious, and we've seen this pattern. We've seen this pattern of broken promises. This is not the first time the Kurds were promised a land. If you remember the Gulf War, I made mention of the fact that, hey, you know what? During the Gulf War, the Kurds in northern Iraq were promised their own state if they would rise up against Saddam Hussein. So what happened? They rose up against Saddam Hussein, and they got gassed. And this time around, the Kurds, the YPG, were used as basically cannon fodder to go ahead and to go ahead and attack the Syrian Arab army, again offering the hope of, oh, we're gonna have our own little land, and they were being used as pawns to cover for the movement of ISIS in the background. And then what happens, bro? What happens? All of a sudden, it has utterly failed. All right, the whole entire Kurdish independence, and we voted for independence, this, that, and the other, is a total failure. Why? Because what we said before is this: there could never be a Kurdistan. Okay, the Kurds are a nomadic people. There could never be a Kurdistan because why? Because you have Syria, you have Turkey, you have Iran, you have Iraq. Okay, any sort of Kurdish state being formed will be rapidly and quickly wiped out. So it's a fool's errand. It's an absolute fool's errand. So this is the situation that that they're facing here with the situation with the Kurds, and this is not going to go well. And we've called it, CJ. We've called it. This is not going to go nowhere. And it's sure as heck, man, it ain't.
Right. Right. Yeah, so Iraqi forces just basically marched right in and said, "No, we're taking back the oil fields, we're taking back the airport and everything." And the Kurds said, "Okay, all right, we're going to go away now." And that's what's happening. And seeing the same thing in Syria, and that's just for the fact that for a long time that the U.S. under the Obama administration propped up the Kurds, providing not only military support, providing the cash needed for their operations, and they were used, they were played, and it's unfortunate for those particular people that happened with those empty false promises. But if you look at the history of U.S. nation building attempts in the Middle East, it just hasn't gone well for anyone.
Yep, absolutely correct, my man. Absolutely correct, without a doubt. Now moving on to the next thing, brother. It says that the truth will set us free. Will Trump release the 3,000 never before seen documents? About JFK assassination?
Yeah, this is why this is important is because if we remember in that particular time period, with the amount of pressure on JFK to start a nuclear war with Cuba, to start a nuclear escalation with Russia, during that time period. And interesting enough, the moment that the JFK, was able to negotiate peace, was able to broker the de-escalation of nuclear weapons with Russia, with the treaties that he was wanting to do, with the exposure that he was starting to understand, truly what was happening, with the CIA with the media is the moment that he was taken out. Um, Specifically, what I believe that the powers that be that still remain to this date of what's occurring. So I think it's important. I think it's important for these documents to come out. They're scheduled to come out here at the end of October. The CIA is apparently urging President Trump to delay disclosing these documents some 25 years later. However, a couple of big players, that have really worked hard, Roger Stone, Gerald Posner, who have completely different views of what occurred,
Right.
on that day in Dallas, have both worked together to say, hey, let's get these documents out. It's time that America grows up. It's time that we find out specifically who was involved and what transpired. Let's think about it. That was the last assassination of a sitting U.S. president. That's pretty darn huge.
Yep. Absolutely correct, my man. Absolutely correct. Big news today, brother. Big news today. It's the 19th Congress in China with President Xi Jinping's speech. This is a massive, massive thing, event. Xi Jinping delivered a 3.5-hour speech at the opening of China's 19th Party Congress, the once in a 5-year mega communist party gathering to herald a new era of power, consolidating his position as perhaps the most influential Chinese leader in decades, while he lay out guidelines to develop China in this new era. Bottom line, it's heavy in superlatives, light on specifics, but this is huge, man. So break this down for us, CJ.
Well, yeah, here in the U.S., we get fed a lot of information in regards to, China's massive debt, China's fake cities, everything that's occurring. So I think we only get just a small portion, a glimpse of what's truly happening. However, China has emerged as this world leader under Xi Jinping in terms of the One Belt, One Road, the infrastructure projects that they are expanding on. So yeah, so he is consolidating powers. He's kind of following in the same footsteps that Vladimir Putin did when Vladimir Putin went beyond 2 terms. And this is at the encouragement of the people that, he is such a strong leader for the Chinese people, for the things that he has accomplished. Is it a perfect society? Absolutely not. A lot of the industry, a lot of the things that occur in China are backed, by the government. However, when you take a look at what here in the United States, we pretty much see the same thing. It's just not officially on paper, right? So we see, all the corporations that are propped up with government subsidies and everything that occurs. So one could argue that those same things occur here in the United States. So as China moves to expand, I think that they will start to take a look, at their society. And his speech is a perfect example of that. He talked a little bit around, the need for China to focus on some of their climate things with their production of things that are occurring there. He talks about taking a look at some of the social aspects with it, even potentially reaching out to some of the opposing parties there in China to bring them in to talk about some things as far as their society and how it's looked upon. So this is a monumental shift that's occurring. Yes, he probably will stay in power for a lot longer term, kind of similar to Vladimir Putin. But if you take a look at what has transpired, you take a look at the Chinese economy. I mean, they're producing numbers. They're producing on average. There was no specific figure given, but on average, I believe their GDP has been over 6% the last couple of years, and that is a tribute of Xi Jinping and his efforts there with China and the amount of things that he's done globally, and that will continue under his leadership.
Yep, absolutely. With that being said, Siege, we're at the end of the broadcast. It was a light show today. I apologize for that, folks. There's so many things going on, a lot of great things that are ahead for Rogue Media in general. Again, stay tuned here on, for 1 p.m. We got my main man, Bix, coming on, and it's going to be a great day. So sit tight. Take it away, CJ.